Entertainment Extra continues with movie critic Richard Crouse on News Talk 1010.
Everybody, this is Gillian.
Hi.
Tomorrow morning I'll take you out onto the island for your solo. 2 nights camping by yourself on our island.
Hey, movie lovers and citizens of Earth, welcome to Extra Entertainment Extra. Terry Hart has toddled off back to TMN, but I'm very excited to have a special guest in studio with me. Annie Clark is an actress known for Degrassi, The Next Generation, Degrassi Takes Manhattan, and her latest film, which is, I guess, a survivalist horror film, I guess we could call it that, called Solo, which is at the Carlton Cinema in Toronto right now on Carlton Street, and it will open slowly across the rest of the country in the next couple of months, so keep an eye open for it. But we're going to tell you all about it. So the movie sees you as a new camp counselor somewhere in Northern Ontario,
Yes.
it looks like. And you have to sort of pass a little bit of hazing. You're sent to a remote island, and you have to spend a couple of days there just to prove that you have what it takes to be a camp counselor.
Exactly.
And then strange things happen. And I don't think we want to give away what happens, but the interesting thing, or one of the interesting things about this movie, is that you are on screen alone for a great deal of the time. This is your first feature. Tell me a little bit about taking a movie with that kind of responsibility. I mean, it's tough enough being in a movie. Tough enough being in your first movie. Tough enough being virtually the only person in that movie for big chunks of the film. Tell me a little bit about that challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of been asked that a lot, and I never really thought about it. When I first got the role, I never really felt the pressure or sort of realized what I was going to be getting myself into. But then I started working really long days and realizing that, it was kind of a lot to take on, but the crew is so amazing. Isaac is such a great writer and director that it never seemed super daunting.
Right.
Yeah, he made me feel really comfortable.
But you really were out there on a pretty remote island. Like, this isn't shot, in a sound studio somewhere. You're not. There are not a lot of comforts of what you would normally associate with filming, right?
Yeah, we shot for 2 weeks actually in Scarborough, Rouge Valley.
Right.
So you would never know that we're just like half an hour outside the city. And then for the last week, we shot in Algonquin and Muskoka, and we actually camped together as a crew. And I mean, it made it
like
all
you were
the more
sleeping
real.
in a tent while you were filming the movie?
Yeah, cabins. But
Right.
I mean, yeah, we were really like, going to the bathroom outside and all the camping stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't too hard to act.
Right, yeah. I was going to say, did that kind of enhance the performance? Did that add something to it?
I think so, yeah. It at least helped me just get into that character, right? And I mean, I don't camp that often myself, so it definitely helped. And having everyone be there with me, solidarity, it was nice.
Well, you don't look like someone that camps, judging by the jewelry you're wearing today. And the article in Metro that ran on Thursday, the first quote is, "I'm a city girl."
Yeah.
So you prefer city life to sort of camping and more rural kind of thing?
I mean, especially now after Solo. But no, I did go to camp for 5 years, and I actually quit and stopped going to camp the year before I had to do a solo.
Right.
My camp actually had that.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
they would send you away, and what did you quit because you were freaked out by the idea of doing that, or?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it was only one night, and they would take you somewhere in the woods, so you wouldn't be on a remote island.
Right.
But still, the idea of staying by myself in the woods, no, thank you.
There's bears,
Yeah,
mosquitoes.
I mean, at least in the movie, I got to be surrounded by a huge crew and cameramen. I knew I was safe, but I don't know if I could do it in real life, especially after the movie.
Well, absolutely, yeah. No, it's tough, right? It looks, and the movie gives you an idea of how kind of rough and tumble it actually is, and I guess by actually shooting there and the experiences that you had kind of adds to that. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you get offered lots of genre kind of things? That this is a horror film, essentially.
Yeah.
It's kind of a psychological drama, survivalist horror film. Do you get offered that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've auditioned for a bunch of other sort of more classic run-of-the-mill horror movies. In most of them, my character would die right away. Right. So I really liked that this script was different than anything I ever read, and she was a really strong character, and I couldn't put it down when I was reading it. So I knew I wanted to do it.
Well, it's interesting. I've read that a lot of actors that I talk to, I'll say, how do you choose your parts? And they'll say, I don't really choose my parts. I get offered things and I take them because I want to work. But you have said here that you want to do things that you feel strongly about rather than just taking what I can get. So tell me a little bit about what that means. I mean, you know, the idea, it's tough out there, right? It's tough out there. You find yourself you're living in Los Angeles now. I'm sure you're going for audition after audition.
Yeah.
And it can be a little tough. So being choosy on top of that must make things a little bit more difficult. Am I right or wrong about that?
Well, yeah, it definitely seems kind of like an oxymoron because like I'm trying, you know, obviously I'm trying to make money, but I'm also I'm really doing this because I love it. And I don't know, I think I'm at a point now in my career, I'm definitely still just starting out, but I don't see that. I don't think just because I'm starting out, I need to just take anything.
Right.
I think it's a completely different whole mindset when you're on set and you really love the script and you love the people you're working with and the character. And I've definitely done things where I haven't felt that way. So it's I just would like to feel really passionate about it as much as possible. And
what kind of stories and scripts would that be for you? What do you look for?
Well, I guess I always sort of considered myself more of a dramatic actor just because that's what I'd always done. But I recently just did a comedy and I actually loved doing that. So
what was
I guess
the comedy?
It's called Teen Lust. And it's sort of a teen comedy, as you can imagine. And hopefully will be coming out this year.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I guess just I would like to try a bunch of different things to sort of see what my favorite thing is, but...
Right. But, I mean, are you looking for strong female characters? I mean, Solo would suggest that is something that's on your radar.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to try all different types of characters, but I tend to gravitate towards, strong female characters for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of things are out there? Like, what comes across your desk? Like, what sort of auditions and, they call them the sides. You get the sides, right? Which is a scene or two from the movie that you would read in an audition. So what kind of things do you get?
I go out for a lot of the, sort of dark characters. Every once in a while, I'll go out for, the mean villain, which I actually would love to play. And surprisingly, a lot of, head cheerleader, popular girl type things, which are fun sometimes. So
I guess, that shows that there's a range, right? There's from villain to cheerleader, I guess. So you can play lots of different things.
Yes, hopefully.
Degrassi gave you a big heads up in this country. You'd also seen in the U.S. and around. Such a popular show. When we come back on Entertainment Extra with my guest, Annie Clark, we're going to talk a little bit about being an alumni of one of the most popular teen shows ever to be on television and what difference that sort of has made to your career and what responsibility you might feel to the fans of that show, because I do think that there's something that goes along with that. So when we come back on Extra Entertainment Extra, Annie Clark, the star of Solo, which is at the Carlton Cinema right now, and I will continue our conversation. Stay with us.
It's Extra Entertainment from Entertainment Extra with Richard Crouse on In-Depth Radio, News Talk 1010.
So you're not worried about your solo?
No.
Hey, movie lovers and citizens of Earth, welcome back to Extra Entertainment Extra. I'm Richard Crouse. Joining me in studio, Annie Clark. She is an actress known for Degrassi, The Next Generation, Degrassi Takes Manhattan, and her latest film, which is a survivalist horror movie called Solo, which is at the Carlton Cinema in Toronto right now, and it will open gradually across the country. So check your local listings for times near you. Degrassi is an interesting phenomenon. I know Stephen Brogan, who played Snake on the original show, but when I first met him, I had never seen the show because I'm a little older than that. And we'd go out, and people would just be throwing themselves at him, going, Snake, Snake, I got to have my picture taken with Snake. And I began to really realize the deepness of the relationship that people have with the characters from that show. So tell me a little bit about your experience being a Degrassi star.
Yeah, I was really lucky that the Degrassi fans are so loyal, and it's it has such a cult following that I feel like anyone who just comes into the Degrassi family is automatically welcomed with open arms. I think it's something that I'll maybe always be known for. No matter what else I do, I feel like I'll always be Fiona to a lot of people.
How do the fans respond to you when they meet you?
Oh, it's great. I'm always so surprised, especially because I've been off Degrassi for a year now. So I kind of, I'm on to my other things and I sort of forget. And then I'll meet someone, and it's always an unexpected fan, like a 27-year-old man or something, who's like, "Are you Fiona?" And I always forget it plays in so many countries too. That I'm even living in LA now. I'll meet people. I'm like going to get frozen yogurt, and the person working there recognizes me. So I feel like it'll be something that will always follow me.
Do you feel a responsibility to the fans at all?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think anything I choose to do will also be something that my fans will like. But I've definitely gotten a lot of positive feedback from Solo, and I'm glad because it was something that was really different from Degrassi.
It is. I mean, I think that I guess the word isn't distance yourself from Degrassi, because it's such a rich part of Canadian television and international television, and you're a part of that fabric. So you don't want to distance yourself from it, but you don't want to be Fiona forever.
Yeah,
I guess, right? So Solo is a way to break free of that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think when I was finishing Degrassi, I was a little unsure about, okay, now I'm really out in the world, and sort of like finishing high school or something for real, where you're like, oh, what do I do now? I sort of had a little midlife crisis, and then Solo was the first thing I booked after that, and it sort of rejuvenated me and made me realize, like, wow, I can really do this and play all sorts of different characters
and do different things. I mean, Solo is a much different thing, and the horror aspects, I guess it's not horror in the traditional sense. There's no monsters. There's no Frankenstein's not chasing around the island. But there are bad things that happen.
Yeah.
And so when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more. It's kind of a rough movie to talk about without giving anything away, though. Yeah. And that's why I'm being just a little breezy with the details here. But I want to talk a little bit about the shooting the film, doing your own stunts, which apparently you did, and how bruised up you got, because it's a physical movie in kind of an unpredictable landscape. I mean, you're on an island in the middle of nowhere somewhere shooting. I'm sure there must be some stories there. And, we'll talk a little bit more about what happens after Solo and Teen Lust and movies like that. When we come back on Extra Entertainment Extra, the conversation continues with Annie Clark. She's the star of Solo, which is at the Carlton Cinema in Toronto right now and will open across the country in the next couple of months, so check your local listings.
You're listening to Entertainment Extra. Now more with movie critic Richard Crouse on In Depth Radio, News Talk 1010.
Hey, movie lovers and citizens of Earth, welcome back to Extra Entertainment Extra. I'm Richard Crouse. My guest in studio is Annie Clark. She's an actress known for Degrassi, The Next Generation, Degrassi Takes Manhattan, and her latest film, Solo, which opens at the Carlton Cinema. It's there right now in Toronto and will open slowly across the country, so check your local listings for that. This is a survivalist horror film. You're alone on an island, or are you alone? I don't want to give away anything, but some things happen to you while you're a camp counselor. You've been put on an island alone just to prove that you can survive for a couple of days and prove your worth as a camp counselor. But it's a very physical film. There's things that happen. There's chase scenes. There's all sorts of things. And you did your own stunts. So did you end up battered and bruised and beaten around?
Yeah. I definitely had some war wounds at the end, and I was washing just tons of dirt off me every day, and but it was nice. They were sort of like badges of honor.
Right. Yeah,
a job well done.
Well, considering that you're a self-proclaimed city girl, I guess that you don't end up getting covered in dirt, at the end of a day of shooting on Degrassi, I'm guessing.
No, not usually. But that sort of stuff is so fun. That's why being an actor is so fun.
Right.
I get to do all sorts of things I wouldn't normally do in my everyday life.
Well, aside from, I guess, the physical aspect of this is a much different thing than playing Fiona on Degrassi. Did you find that you had to push yourself in much different ways, or is just one script kind of like the other? You're an actor and you just sort of adopt whatever is on the page?
No, definitely. It was a lot more challenging, especially because in the movie there's not a ton of dialogue, at least at the beginning. So there's a lot of me just by myself, and you'd think maybe that would be easier, but
it's not, though.
It's actually harder in some ways.
Well, because actors have a tendency to want to do something.
Right.
And, you want to fill the screen. But it doesn't look natural often.
Yeah.
And, one of the hardest things to do on screen is to do nothing.
Yeah, and to just be silent. And yeah, so that actually, I was like, I don't have any lines today. But then it ends up being like, the most emotional day. So definitely. And just the amount that I was working, we shot basically every single day for 3 weeks straight. Right. So it was just pretty grueling, but I felt amazing after I'd accomplished it.
Yeah, because they're 12-hour days too, right? You're not, it's not like you're sitting in a trailer waiting to go on.
No breaks.
Yeah, well, because you are, and we talked about this in the first segment, you're on screen alone a lot of the time. So it's a much different thing than, working in a big ensemble cast like Degrassi or
Definitely.
something like that.
I had a lot of downtime in my dressing room on Degrassi and a lot of rolling around in the dirt in Solo.
Now, are you a fan of scary movies, of this kind of psychological drama?
Yeah, specifically this type of scary movie. I'm not one for the sort of, pop-out scary. I can't really handle that, but I love psychological thrillers and really suspenseful movies.
And did you watch any of that sort of thing to prep for this movie, just to sort of get your head space in the right place? Sort
of, yeah. Isaac sent me a list actually once I booked with a few Wait Until Dark and Silence of the Lambs and a lot of old classics that he wanted me to watch, and some I'd seen before, but it's always
classics.
Nice to...
The Silence of the Lambs does not seem like an old movie to me, young lady.
Classics, then.
Classics movie. So what's next? So we've talked a little bit about Teen Lust, which is coming out sometime this year, probably as well. That's a comedy. This is a psychological drama. What's next for you?
Who knows? I mean, like I said before, I don't really want to just take what I can get, but I'm in LA right now for pilot season.
Yeah,
how's
that going for you? LA is such a weird city, though.
It's super weird. This is my first time actually living there.
Right.
It's awesome, though. I absolutely love it, especially with the winter here. It's oh my god, it's nice to be in the sun, and there's just a ton of auditions there. So I'm constantly busy and auditioning for a lot of really cool things that I wouldn't have necessarily had the opportunity to audition for before. So
will you continue to come back to Canada to work if you if you land one of the pilots in LA? Will you continue to come back here and make movies?
Absolutely. My dream would be to live in Toronto and go to LA for the winter.
Like Jay Baruchel lives in Montreal and only leaves Montreal when he's working on a movie or something like that.
I'd love to get to that point where I can do that.
Well, with more movies like Solo, I'm sure that you will. Annie Clark has been my guest on Extra Entertainment Extra. The movie is called Solo. It's a survivalist horror film. It's playing at the Carlton Cinemas right now. Go check it out. We'll be open in your area soon if you're not in Toronto. Annie, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for listening to Extra Entertainment Extra.